Did you know that research has proven there's at least four ways that stress can raise your cholesterol and increase your risk of heart attacks and strokes? Hi, I'm Dr. Patricia Mills, holistic medical doctor transforming women's health with natural root cause solutions, and welcome to the Wild Wisdom Show. Today, we're going to be talking about four surprising ways that stress can raise your cholesterol, plus a 5-minute quick fix to lower it. So let's dive right in. So, the first way that stress has been shown through research to increase cholesterol is that chronic stress, so that low grade daily stress that can occur if you're not able to regulate how you respond to your environment, allowing yourself to get into that low level stress with some occasional or more than occasional frequent high peaks of stress that we call acute stress can kick your nervous system into overdrive. And what that does is it activates what's called your sympathetic nervous system. And that's your fight or flight reaction part of the nervous system. Now, the nervous system is divided into different parts. One part we can voluntarily control, like moving our muscles, for example. The other part is what's called automatic, or in medical terms, autonomic, in which it's the subconscious controlling of things like your heartbeat, your sweating response, your breath, your breathing when you're not paying attention to it, for example. All of those things are controlled by the autonomic nervous system. And within the autonomic nervous system, there's two subcategories, and that's the sympathetic nervous system, which kicks into action when you need to deal with a stressful event. So in the old days, it would be, for example, running into a tiger or a bear in the jungle or the forest and having to activate your nervous system to run away. Nowadays, it could be anything from your alarm clock going off in the morning and startling you awake to the to-dos on your list that have to be done for that day, perhaps for that week, that month, or that year. Maybe it's caring for your loved ones, your work. All of those things can activate now that sympathetic nervous system. And that system is counterbalanced by what's called your parasympathetic nervous system, which is your rest, digest, relax, and repair. So we need to be in a good balance with our sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems. And what happens is that when we're not, we get into that overdrive of that sympathetic nervous system being more on than off. And research shows that that increases the release of molecules from the tissues into your blood. And these molecules are called free fatty acids and triglycerides. And these are specific types of fats that are used to make cholesterol. So basically, the body is creating more of the cholesterol building blocks to be available as a result of that chronic stress, and that can lead to high cholesterol levels. Now, the second way that stress can increase cholesterol levels is through production of the stress hormone cortisol. Cortisol is a well-known hormone these days. It gets a bit of a bad rap because it is associated with stress, but we do need certain amounts of cortisol to do things like get up from bed in the morning. So your body will naturally produce cortisol in the morning in order to give you that awakening response. But then what you want is for those levels of cortisol to decrease through the day so that you can get into that relaxation state toward the end of the night, so that melatonin hormone can go up and you can fall into deep sleep. What happens is that if we are in a state of chronic low-grade stress or frequent acute stressors or both, cortisol can be in ascendance. It can be too high, too often through the day, sometimes even through the night, disrupting sleep. And what we do know is that too high levels of cortisol trigger inflammation in the body. And inflammation is a process that involves multiple systems, including the immune system and the nervous system. It has various damaging effects. And one of those damaging effects is that it can raise what's called the LDL cholesterol in the body, also known as the bad cholesterol. It's the one of the cholesterols that has been more associated with risk of heart attacks and strokes than, for example, the good cholesterol, which is called HDL, or high density lipoprotein. LDL is low density lipoprotein. And so we know that through this hormonal pathway of stress causing more cortisol to be produced, we can increase our risk of heart attacks and strokes through that increased level of LDL and cholesterol. And what we need to understand is that after the age of 50, heart attacks are one of the leading causes of death in women. So this is very, very important information. The third way that stress can increase your levels of cholesterol, and this has also been studied in research, is that it's more likely to trigger your unhealthy habits. So when people are stressed, they tend to turn to comfort foods that are high in fats and refined sugars. And these fats and sugars are linked to an increased risk of cholesterol. And if you want to go deeper into nutrition that can worsen or improve your cholesterol, please be sure to check out the caption in the show notes for the link of my high cholesterol playlist, where I cover everything you need to know to decrease your cholesterol, including nutrition strategies proven by science that do not include avoiding cholesterol-rich foods, because that has not been shown to increase cholesterol. Now, the other thing that stress has been shown to do is decrease people's motivation to exercise. And we know that specific kinds of exercise will improve cholesterol levels and prevent you from getting high cholesterol. So again, check out that high cholesterol playlist in the show notes, looking below the video if you're on YouTube, clicking on that more button to expand that written out section below, and clicking on the links for resources available to you. The fourth pathway is that cellular stress affects cholesterol production. Now, this is kind of fascinating, actually, when I dove into the research. And the fact is that cholesterol levels can be increased in the body either through ways that you eat, not through eating high cholesterol foods, but as mentioned before, other ways of eating, such as high saturated fat intake and high simple sugar carbohydrate intake. And again, you'll want to review that because it's the devil's in the details for that one. Also, the body makes its own cholesterol. That's actually the major source of high cholesterol. And the organ that makes the most cholesterol in the body is the liver. And what's interesting is that when the body becomes physically stressed, and I'm going to cover what would cause this kind of physical stress, the body experiences a phenomenon called endoplasmic reticulum stress. And the endoplasmic reticulum is an organ inside of each cell that we have in the body. And when there is stress that occurs at the level of this organ within the cell, that organ is responsible for creating cholesterol in the body. And when that part of the cell becomes stressed, that organ, the endoplasmic reticulum, will actually make more cholesterol. So physical stress will actually trigger the internal production of cholesterol within your liver, so that you can have a very direct consequence of high stress causing high cholesterol through that internal production of cholesterol. So it could have absolutely nothing to do with your diet. Now, having said that, those physical stressors that can cause that stress on the cellular level include a poor diet that leads to inflammation in the body, that leads to that cellular stress. So ultra-processed foods, high intake of sugar, and so on can cause this physical stress. Drinking too much alcohol, smoking cigarettes, doing drugs, all of those things that lead to inflammation will increase that production of high cholesterol. Certain medications can actually have this effect. Of course, not all of them, but certain of them do. The presence of chronic disease, so diabetes, cancer, Alzheimer's, having had a previous stroke and heart attack, all of these things are signs of internal inflammation, and they can lead to this internal increased production of cholesterol. Environmental toxins, such as heavy metals and pollution, and those persistent organic pollutants that hang out in fats like bisphenol A and phthalates and those PFCs. Anyways, there's lots of chemicals named for these things, and they're hanging out in our environment now as a result of industry creating these molecules, putting them into our products. Now they're releasing into the environment. They're found in our food and our water supply. They get in through our skin and through inhalation. And when they get into the body, they cause this physical stress, which goes in and causes the body to make more cholesterol. And you can get this diagnosis of high cholesterol through this pathway. Now, the good news is that there is a way, of course, to avoid this and to reverse this. For many of these stressors, you're going to want to check out the high cholesterol playlist, but I'm going to cover a 5-minute quick fix plus a few long-term solutions that will specifically address the issue of stress causing high cholesterol. And these have all been proven to work, and they're very effective natural solutions. So the quick fix that has been studied that only takes 5 minutes a day is called the cyclical sighing. So it's a specific kind of breath work that has been compared against 5 minutes of meditation and other kinds of breath work, including box breathing as an example. And it's been shown to induce the most relaxation response in the body, decreasing that sympathetic nervous system overdrive, and thus very effective. And I'm going to lead you through a few cycles of it so that you can experience for yourself what this feels like. And then we're going to get into the long-term solutions. So cyclical sighing essentially is when you inhale deeply, and it may take a few breaths to start getting that deeper inhale. You hold it a little bit at the top of the inhale, and then you sigh out, you exhale, and the exhale is longer than the inhale, more of like a sigh. So let's do that together. I love how this feels. So I take every opportunity I can to do this. So inhale, exhale. Let's do that again. Exhale. And honestly, even just after 2 breaths, I immediately feel calmer. And the research shows that it's that 5 minutes, which is really not a lot of time to do, that can be so impactful. But I microdose on cyclical sighing, and I'll do cyclical sighing anytime I feel like my body's starting to tense up, whether it's while I'm sitting at the desk doing work, I'm interacting with my young children, for example, I'm looking at my to-do list. If I ever feel or notice the signs of stress, which for me is felt as tension in the neck, the jaw, the upper back, maybe you feel it in your chest, in your gut, wherever you feel your tension. When you feel that, try a few of these cyclical sighing breaths, and you will notice a significant relaxation response, which is basically getting that sympathetic nervous system down and increasing the activity through that parasympathetic nervous system, through the vagus nerve, which is part of that parasympathetic nervous system. And it's been shown to be even more effective than 5 minutes of meditation every day. So very lovely quick fix. Now, the long-term quick fixes are to exercise regularly, move your body, has been shown to reduce stress in the body, both physical, emotional, and mental. Eating a heart-healthy diet, which again, you will find the resources for that in the caption. Practicing relaxation techniques regularly, such as a cyclical sighing, but maybe for you, it's other kinds of breath work, meditation, yoga, tai chi, qigong, whatever works for you. Find what feels good, and then just do it on a more regular than not basis. Prioritize things in your life. So if there's anything that you can let go of that really clogs up your schedule and drives up your tension, whether it's activities or people, definitely take a look at that and do a big prioritization, simplification, organization. Be sure to get enough sleep. Sleep is one of the biggest antidotes to stress. We don't get enough of it. And so prioritizing sleep can be very important. And lastly, but not least, staying connected with community has been proven to reduce stress levels, even for people who feel like they do better on their own. So being sure to reach out to family, to friends, maybe getting involved in a community group, whether it be, through sports or through hobbies, through church, whatever it is that you enjoy. Again, find what feels good and connect with those people. So stress affects your body in more ways than you might realize, including your cholesterol levels. And so what I want you to also be aware of is that when we're reducing stress and when we're trying to treat high cholesterol, it requires a holistic approach. You usually need to hit it from every angle, which is why, again, I really encourage you to take a look at that high cholesterol playlist that will take you to the other videos that I cover that are equally essential and necessary to understand for you to have the biggest chance of reversing your high cholesterol naturally, potentially staying off of medications, maybe getting off of medications, or using the lowest dose necessary, which is also really great for whole body health. If you've enjoyed this episode of the Wild Wisdom Show, the best thing you can do to support it is to subscribe. And I appreciate you if you already have. If not, please do so. If you enjoyed this episode, save it and share it. Sharing is caring, and you never know when someone might benefit from this wild wisdom. I hope you enjoyed it and have a wonderful rest of your evening, day, or night. Please put your questions in the comments below, particularly in YouTube. That's where I tend to look the most and answer the questions. I find I engage really well there with my listeners and viewers. course. So I look forward to seeing you there, and I'll see you in the next Wild Wisdom show coming up next week. Bye now.